104.7 The Cave, Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. It is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 129. This week was my pick. MH370, the plane that disappeared, which was released on Netflix earlier this month, or in March, rather. And it was to remember that flight on the 9th anniversary of its disappearance, which, again, I can't believe it's been 9 years, A. And B, they still have no clue where this plane went, man.
I did not know this. I thought they figured it out. Dude, I thought they figured it out by now.
You're talking about a plane. We're living in a time in the world
right.
where you got satellites and
you can pinpoint anything in the world.
Sky.
You can read license plates from the outer space.
Zoom in, yeah. You can literally see a guy light a cigarette in his
car. You can see me naked watering the lawn from the sky.
It's like, but how the hell can they not? Why they can't fight? Well, I'll tell you why.
This is mysterious.
It goes back to with the UFO thing. What, like 85-90% of the world's ocean still hasn't been tracked. So it is probably deep down in the bottom of the ocean somewhere.
But no fragments, no pieces.
But the fact that nothing survived, I mean, not a black box, not a piece of the plane. They have found things that they thought were, but then
that's
what I see.
I caught those news stories and I thought, okay, they found a piece of the plane. No,
they don't have any clue. This thing just
goes
gone.
Deep into it why those were not pieces of the plane.
This flight MH370 was all over the news when it happened, and there was a big to-do because it involved a Boeing 777, which they went back, and I think they have those things still been grounded, I think, or they still don't fly some of those, or for a long time, because there was another crash involved with a plane like that.
Didn't we do one of these one time, and literally it happened that morning again, and we were doing a documentary
literally in the middle of
we were cutting edge, bro.
And we're like looking up going, holy crap, there's another crash.
We're talking about it right now, and it just happened.
Yeah, it's wild, but it's scary as hell because you and I fly all the time, and it's just like, dude, you get off on these planes and you're flying over the mountains or over the ocean, and you're like, God, if something happened.
Well, to me, it's amazing that they don't crash more often.
Well, and it's also good that they don't because so many people fly so often.
It's just so much. You figure about driving a car, that stuff can go wrong.
Even when it comes down to loss of life, it's still more dangerous to drive to work than it is to fly. And that's just the bottom line. Yeah, it is crazy, especially when you get in some of these discount airplanes and you're like looking around going, does that sound an ashtray?
I had a great experience on Spirit the last time I did. I had a great experience. I loved it.
What that you thought
when I went on Spirit to LA from Kansas City, LA, it was great. I didn't feel nothing weird.
Well, that's good.
It's great. Nice.
I mean, it's so funny because you can fly in the same airline, and then in one airport, it's like, oh my God, this plane was made in 1957, and then the next, changeover, it's a brand new plane. It's roomier, it's less roomier, and it's a wild scene. I like the being in the air, like there's a part of kid in me, and like they just likes getting in an airplane and flying, but the whole like going through security and all that stuff and waiting, it's just such a pain in the ass sometimes.
Well, the problem is it's just so expensive these days.
That also is a big deal too. But at the end of the day, you and I both made it to our destinations and have not the 239 presumed to have been dead. Now they say presumed, and they say there were zero because they don't know. And
dude, what if this was like a manifest thing where the thing just like time warped and
hit a portal and it's still flying in the air? Did you ever see that Twilight Zone episode? Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but essentially they like hit
William Shatner with the beast on the wing.
That one's like the famous. Yes. No, there's another one that involves a plane, and they essentially hit a time rift, and the plane goes back to like, because they look out the window and they see like pterodactyls flying around. This is Twilight Zone, so it's like miniatures, and they're like, oh my God. And then this episode
You're making me want to watch some Twilight Zone.
Dude, so good. I was at a party over the weekend, and we were talking about
wait, you go to parties?
I do all the time. And we were talking about just episode like TV writing and how just certain people, like once they're gone, there's no, because they tried to reclaim Twilight Zone and make it again with even Jordan Peele, who's such a great writer and director, couldn't do it because it's not Rod Serling, bottom line. And I think we were talking about the Howling episode with the devil, but anyway, that flight episode is something you should definitely check out. Pluto TV, I think, plays Twilight Zone like all the time, so you should definitely check it out. I watch a series more times than I've got a Rod Serling tattoo on my arm, for Christ's sake. Anyway, we're not talking about Twilight Zone. We're talking about MH370, and we'll continue Dark Side of the Stream next on 104.7 The Cave. 104.7 The K, Mike, the intern, Jay Stevens. We still are talking about Twilight Zone, even though we're not discussing that in this episode. But this episode of Dark Side of the Stream that discusses MH370, the plane that disappeared from Netflix, which you can watch, is a Twilight Zone-esque situation because we still don't know what happened to this aircraft. This documentary, which does a phenomenal job of telling the story about how this thing, everything was cool. And then it shows the radar and where it veers off from its course, how they lost communication, and then it's just gone. There were multiple sightings of this, including people that, or at least I think it was an oil rig worker, claimed that he saw a burning object in the sky, which leads me to some of the theories of what actually happened.
Which they went into a few different theories.
There's three main, I think, theories that involve this one. And since we're going to talk about the burning idea, one of the theories is that there could have been a terrorist on this flight, or that maybe some lithium batteries caught on fire, and that it just was so fast and it just asphyxiation, something to that effect happened and knocked everyone out on the crew, and it just autopiloted itself into the ocean, which could have happened, and that would explain why some of the debris didn't fall off, because if it was on fire and it just kind of coasted down, you wouldn't expect it just to crash and explode into pieces. If it just kind of did a pseudo soft landing, and I'm not a pilot, so I have no clue, but in my mind, if it just kind of cruises down and gets into the ocean, it would just go down, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't find any pieces. And then again, the tracker on this thing went dead. The battery was dead. So that would also explain if there was a mechanical failure or a fire on the plane. That would explain it too. But again, so I mean, they searched for this thing for a year, a multiple.
And then another theory is that they're searching the wrong areas.
That's also something.
They also could have turned and went over land and got shot down by Russians.
That's also something, and we can talk about another theory. Dark Side of the Stream continues next on 104.7 The Cave. .7 The K, Mike the intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio discussing MH370, the plane that disappeared. So Jay brought up a good point, and that was one of the theories that what happened to this plane was that possibly it was shot down over land by military, and they're covering it up. They thought it was something else. This wouldn't be the first time that a military had accidentally downed a plane, Russia. But also, if that's the case, we would have. I mean, somebody by now.
I think you would see jets scrambling and stuff
something
like that.
Would have. You would. Think
I'm sure that we monitor all airspace, everyone's airspace, not just our own. I'm sure we monitor the world.
There has to be again that theory. It's possible. And again, there is a massive page on Wikipedia that goes through all of these theories. And one of them, again, if you're going to talk about other countries, the fact that North Korea could have possibly hijacked this plane. Another theory is that the pilot himself had something to do with it. The cockpit had mandated anti-hijacker fortified doors that could prevent locked out crew or passengers from interfering with the suicide or hijacking. If that had happened, shortly after the disappearance, they went to one of the pilot's houses and looked on a what was it, like a flight simulator, and there was kind of or at least there was a claim
the path
that the path that flight was supposed to take, he had it on a simulator, but then in this thing it veered off. Now his wife and I guess has come out and said that that's not the case.
Yeah, there was some little controversy,
but that in itself is still kind of suspect. Again, if you can't find it and you don't know what happened to it,
you're going to look for every option.
That's an avenue, but if they don't have any proof behind it, they're again it's like
the part I thought was the craziest of this was how some of the families said that they were calling the cell phones,
and the phones kept ringing.
And the phones kept ringing for a while after, which that is like, whoa.
I mean,
what?
Yeah, if it was a dead phone, it should have just went dead, right?
So that's a little trippy right there.
Now, there is the theory that there was passenger involvement. 2 men boarded this flight with stolen passports. And one had been stolen from Italy, one had been stolen from Austria. Interpol had both of them listed as stolen and lost travel documents. So that in itself is weird because the 2 one-way tickets purchased from the holders of these passports were booked through China Southern Airlines. And it was reported that an Iranian had ordered the cheapest tickets to Europe via telephone in Bangkok, Thailand, which the passports were stolen in, and he paid in cash. So they think, though, that these 2 men were believed to be asylum seekers and that they don't think that this was a terrorist incident. It was just, look at this. They found it and they're like, okay, wait, whoa. But
this
then
may
again,
go down as one of the great mysteries.
It could. Another theory, again, we talked about crew involvement. We talked about the cargo having to do something. Those lithium batteries could have had something to do with it. But again, it all comes down to the fact that when it involves a country who might not know what the hell they're doing, we still don't know. 239 lives lost or presumably lost because we don't know. But the fact that those phones kept ringing,
that's weird.
After the fact, man,
weird.
So weird. We will give it our review. How many planes lost next? Dark Side of the Stream continues on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 129.
If only this would have started 20 seconds earlier.
Yeah,
the stuff that we talk about in between. My God.
No holds barred. Well, you guys aren't in here, and that's a good thing.
We need to do it like a behind the scenes.
It's between in our marriage.
Pay-per-view, a Patreon pay-per-view.
These conversations stay in our marriage.
Wow.
Yeah, I would give this documentary probably a 4.
Yeah,
solid.
I think a 4 too, because I did not know that they had not found anything. There's a guy that claims he found pieces, but
it's not.
It's not, man.
Again, the thing about it is, like, when this happened, the media was just all over the place about, was it the plane? Is it this? Is it this? Is it this? And at the end of the day, we don't know. And it was just, you grasp for straws, but until someone really figures it out, it's probably just going to go down as one of those things like the Bermuda Triangle, where they just disappeared and no one ever heard from them again, which is unfortunate. Again, 239 presumably lost lives is a lot. And that's a scary thing every time you're on a plane and you're about ready to take off.
Especially flying to Hawaii over the ocean for those hours over the ocean.
Japan, flying over the Pacific all the way to Japan is just like when you're watching the sun go up and go up again and all these things. Like, yeah, dude, it's scary. It's really scary. But again, we don't know. And that's why we do these things, Dark Side of the Stream. Yeah. Jay's for episode 130, it's his pick.
I'm going to go real easy on us, a nice short one, a real short, free one.
Thank God.
It's like 20 minutes long.
What? 20 minutes? That's how long these episodes are.
Am I still even on there?
I think so.
My thing is
we'll figure it out.
It's on YouTube, and you have to search Tesla Secrets of the Pyramid. Nikolai Tesla Secrets of the Pyramid. It's I don't know the exact name, but it's like a 20-minute long. You might be able to pull it up there and find out the exact name. Tesla knew the secrets of the pyramid or something. And it's talking about these great pyramids, that they were not tombs, that he thinks they were energy conductors.
Antennas, essentially.
For an ancient civilization.
Okay, I'm excited about that.
Deep thoughts on
Interest peaked. Jay's phone did go out, but you can still hear him. Either way, you can hear me and him at 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. every Thursday on 104.7 The Cave. Download our podcast as a 104.7 The Cave app or watch us live most of the time on Facebook or YouTube every Thursday at 9 a.m. I'm Mike the Intern. Jay Stevens is in here.
Yeah.
You just can't see him.
I'm on that flight now.
He disappeared.
I disappeared.
Holy God. It's Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave.